Hi everybody, hope you're keeping well. Welcome to the What's New webinar for the latest version of Mission Control. So version 1.79 is available as of the 9th of January. So let's dive in and take a look at the enhancements that we're introducing. Okay, so what's new? We've got a few new features along with some enhancements to some of our key existing functionality as well. So new functionality, we're introducing a page that allows you to create and manage multiple phases the way you can on create similar to the create milestones, create actions, create checklist items. Introducing a couple of features around being able to assign an entire team to either a project or to an individual action. Some refactor work and some enhancements to both the timesheet and the scheduler. We've introduced the ability to configure the auto generation field mapping rules for individual record types if you're using record types on your opportunity or your project request. And a couple of updates to the read-only page and a few other minor enhancements we'll talk about as we go through. Okay, so moving on, the create phases, as I mentioned, very similar to the create milestones, create actions. Ultimately, what it allows you to do is bulk edit the phases, so you can manage all of those phases on one page in context of an individual project. Team assignments, the two key things that we're adding in here are the ability to mass assign a team to an individual project or to a one individual action. So we'll walk through, there's some configuration requirements on your teams, so we'll walk through those as part of the demo. Timesheet enhancements, as I say, fairly large refactor of the existing functionality, mainly focused on improving performance. Also some UI enhancements as well as some additional requests from customers. So as an example, we've relocated the save buttons to save people having to scroll all the way down to the bottom if they're logging time at the top. So those buttons will always stay at the top there. To support that, the performance and to handle larger data sets, we've introduced the ability to turn on pagination. A few other different settings that we'll cover off through the demo. So I won't repeat them at the moment and then cover off later. Scheduler enhancements, again, a refactor for improved performance, as well as the ability to edit holidays directly from the scheduler. And some customers were wanting to be able to choose whether they display or hide the job title. So we've introduced a setting so you can control that. So the auto generation, obviously you can configure the field mapping rules for the auto generation logic from an opportunity or from a project request. Where you are using record types on that opportunity or project request object, you might have a need to configure different field mapping rules depending on the record type being used. So we've introduced that functionality where you can configure those rules specific to the individual record type. So we'll cover that off later as well. The read-only page, main things that we've done to this, so we've introduced the ability to display phases on the overview tab. So by default, they will be displayed. Like all of the other records that appear on the overview tab, you've got the ability to exclude them if you don't want them on there. And you've also got the ability to add in custom fields for that phase level like you do all of the other layers of the work breakdown structure. Some minor enhancements we've got. So we've introduced the ability to update the milestone status of all milestones that relate to a particular phase. So that's controlled by a setting on the control pad. The product-based auto generation methods from the opportunity will now include phases. So previously, if you were using the opportunity generation method, that would include phases. All of the product-based ones didn't. They now will. Periodic billing frequency. So we've added in two new options for customers who might need to generate invoices every 6 months or every 12 months. So you will need to add those two values. This is all in the release notes, but you will need to add those two values to your periodic billing frequency pick list field on the project object. Custom field filter enhancements. This is really across key pages like the whiteboard, the scheduler, the action pad. You can create filters using two custom fields, and we've just added in and or logic that will help you build dynamic filters. So, for example, if you were saying you wanted everyone to have the whiteboard filtered to show anything where they are an action owner or where they are a contributor, previously you would have had to do that individually. Each person would have had to go and create a filter for themselves. With this enhancement, what you can now do is build a dynamic filter. So, for example, custom field filter 1 could be set to where action owner current user equals 1, and the custom filter 2 would then actually be where contributor current user equals 1. So you can configure the rules to be and or. So in that instance, you would say I'm gonna show all actions where the action owner current user is 1, or where contributor current user is 1. So that is a dynamic filter that can then be applied to everybody, so they don't all have to go off and create their own individual filters. We've added in a lot of fields onto the project and milestone object. They're really just system fields that are there to support changes that we've made to the P&L scheduled, P&L actual, and P&L forecast formula fields. When you read the release notes, you'll see there's a lot of fields being added. You don't necessarily need them on your page layout. They're purely, they should be considered system fields that the system's going to keep up to date, and they're just used to manage more accurate reporting on the P&L for the various billing types that we've got, like fixed price, controlled on milestones, deposit to T&M, and so on. And similar to that, the billing event enhancements we've made are around improving the metrics that are displayed in the total remaining field and on the invoices chart on the billing tab. Really just about ensuring that the information is as accurate as possible based on those different billing types. So specifically, we've made changes to improve the accuracy of those metrics where it's a controlled on milestones project. Okay, so that's all of the key functionality. So what we'll do now is jump in and take a closer look at some of those key features. So we're going to take a look at the Create Phases page. So very similar to the Create Milestones, Create Actions. So you'll see here that I'm on a project here, and similar to Create Milestones, Create Actions, Create Checklists, we've now completed the feature set there and added in the ability to create phases. So very similar to all of the other pages. So if I open up the Create Phases, I've got the ability to toggle on whether I look at existing records or not. So obviously I'm choosing to do that. So I'm able to see the existing phases that I have available. I can quickly create new phases by adding them in here, either clicking enter or clicking plus, or I can add in additional rows as needed. You've got the ability to obviously specify an individual phase owner. Once that field is populated, you've got that copy feature that you'll obviously be used to on other pages. So I can click that to copy each individual phase owner from the one above. I can also do a bulk edit. So if I click on there and I decide I want to exclude all of these from the status report by updating one, as a result of selecting all of the records here, that same change is going to apply to all of them. So As another example, I could populate the phase owner for one, and it would populate for all of them. Similar with my budget. So let's say I put in $1,000 there. It's going to apply to every single record that's being created. You've also got the ability to add in custom fields. So by default, these are the fields that will be displayed, because most of the fields on the phase object get rolled up from related milestones. But if you are adding custom fields to the phase object, you can also display those. That's all managed through a field set on the phase object. So, as I say, very similar. Hopefully, you're familiar with the same pages that already exist for milestones, actions, and checklists. So, ultimately, now you've got that ability to manage in bulk all of the records at those four key work breakdown structure layers. As I mentioned earlier, we've introduced two new features around resource assignment. So one is the ability to assign an entire team to a project, and the other one is to be able to assign an entire team to an individual action. So they work differently, these two processes, and there are some, I guess, pre-configured prerequisite configurations that you need to make on the teams and the individual roles, team assignments. So I'll just walk you through those first, but we're going to come back to this project here. So at the moment, you'll see that there's placeholders assigned to everything on this project. So what we're going to do is, rather than having to go through and reassign individually, we can just do a team assignment, and everyone will be assigned. So we'll just take a look at the teams first. So we're introducing a concept of a team being considered a squad. So as opposed to a normal team where you might have a group of project managers or everyone that is based in the United States or Australia, you might have a team that is a squad of resources. So I've got squad A here, and if I take a look at all of the individual people assigned to that, I'm specifying what squad placeholder role they would represent. So the two key things there are that you would be specifying that the team is a squad, and you would be specifying a squad placeholder for each person that is on that team. So when this team is assigned to a project, anything that is currently assigned to a placeholder called placeholder consultant would be assigned to Joel. Anything that is placeholder developer 1 would go to Bethany, placeholder project manager would go to Alana, and then placeholder developer 2 would be Stephanie in this instance. You can also specify who is a team lead, which is more applicable to the action assignment. So we'll just jump back onto our project. So what we're going to do is assign. So you'll see here I've actually got two different teams. I've got Squad A and Squad B. So I'm going to jump back onto my project here. So this is a brand new project that's been created from a template. All of my work breakdown structure is currently assigned to placeholders. Now, rather than having to go and use the reassignment wizard to reassign all of those individually, by leveraging this new field, which has been added on to the project called Team Assignment. So you'll see here, new field added. So what I'm able to do is actually assign a team. So I've decided out of the two, it's going to be Squad A that will be assigned to that. So by just adding that team to that field, what will happen in the background now is everything that's assigned to those placeholders will be reassigned over to those named individuals that are part of that team based on their squad placeholder. So you can see Alana's been set as the project manager. So anything that the placeholder project manager was assigned to has been assigned to Alana. And then you can see there's right through the full work breakdown structure, there's other people. So Joel was the consultant. We've got our developers now assigned to Bethany and Stephanie. So let's say actually I made a mistake. I wasn't ready to assign those. So if I actually want to undo that assignment, I simply come back and remove that field. So anything that was assigned to those those named individuals as a result of moving that team, they will get reassigned back to those placeholders. So again, you can see that everything that was assigned to those people has now been set back to that placeholder. That is identified based on their squad placeholder on their individual team assignments. So in that instance, I could then say, all right, well, I'm gonna reassign that and actually go to squad B instead. So now it's all been sent over to the different people on that team. Okay, so the the other aspect is assigning an individual action to an entire team. So rather than having to go in and create an action owner and multiple contributor records, you can leverage the. So I'm working on a different project here. I've got a project kickoff that isn't currently assigned to anybody. Now I want the entire team to be assigned to this action. So rather than having to go into the resource assignment wizard and add all of those contributors individually, I can go to the action and again use a new field called team assigned, and that will allow me to assign that entire team. Now I'm just going to go back to first of all go back to my role record. So you'll see that on my team assignment, I've specified obviously my placeholder, but so that's relevant to the project team assignment. What's relevant to the action team assignment is am I the team lead or not? Am I just a team member? So the team lead will be assigned as the action owner, and all of the other team members will be assigned as contributors. So you'll see here I'm marked as the team lead, and Chris, Mick, and Kelly are all team members. So what we'll do is go to this action and assign that team. So I'm going to select Squad B. So you can see there as the team lead, I've been set as the action owner. And then if I take a look at the related, I can see contributor records have been created for the other team members as well. So as well as the refactor of the timesheet for improved performance, we've also made a number of enhancements based on various feature requests from customers. So we'll just walk through each one of those. So first of all, you can see, as I mentioned earlier, we've relocated the save buttons from the bottom up to the top. So obviously, if I'm logging time on my first record, I wouldn't have to scroll all the way down to reach them. So it doesn't matter where I'm logging time; those save buttons are going to be readily accessible for you. We've also introduced a setting that allows you to turn on pagination. So some customers do have large volumes of data that get loaded onto their timesheet. So to give them the ability to manage that in a more succinct manner, we've introduced a setting that can be enabled. So the pagination setting allows you to turn on pagination and then specify how many records you want to appear per page, really. So I'm going to turn that on, and then it's actually going to display a maximum of 10 records per page. So you can see obviously I've got more than that at the moment. So I'll just save that setting. So you'll see now I've only got 10 actions being displayed, and up in the top right here I've now got navigation, so I can quickly jump to any of my pages or navigate backwards and forwards as I need. Now that can be turned on by individual people, or if you are using the control pad override, you can actually you can do that for everybody as well. So I'll just turn that one back off. Okay, so a couple of other settings that well, first of all, we've got an existing setting that we've just added some additional functionality to. So there's a setting that allows you to choose a time frame. So Previously, it used to be 1 week and 1 month. We've now, and that basically used to determine how many columns were available. So obviously, 1 week, it's going to give me 7 days. 1 month, it would give me columns for each individual day within a particular month. We've just added in some additional options, so a fortnight, 4 weeks, 1st and 16th as well. So just giving customers the option. You find some customers they want to submit time every 2 weeks, or from the 1st to the 15th to the 16th to the end of the month. So we've added in some additional options there for you. So this is a new setting, and this one controls how many, like the period of time that you are using to load the actions. So again, previously that would have been controlled based on this setting, whether it was 1 week or 1 month. You've now got the ability to split that out separately. So for example, you might choose to only display 1 week's worth of columns, but you might choose to actually see everything that is assigned to you for a particular month. Again, same options that you've got. It just controls the actions that are displayed. There's another setting where you can. It will only show you the working days. So anything that is set for you as an individual. Let's say you only work Tuesday to Friday. So Monday would be hidden. If your business hours settings are set to where Saturday and Sunday are non-working days, then they would be hidden as well. So I'll just turn that on just to show you how that works. So you'll see there that Saturday and Sunday, so that they're not hidden. It's just the fields are hidden to ensure that I'm not logging time to the wrong day by accident. The Just to bear in mind, let's say you are doing some work on a Saturday. If you go and log that time elsewhere, like on the project overview, the Gantt chart, the whiteboard, you will end up seeing a cell here once you have log time. But unless you do that away from the timesheet, you ultimately won't be able to actually log time against those days. The tab settings, so obviously we've got 4 tabs that can display: the timesheet, the calendar converter, the approvals, and the rejections. Now obviously approvals and rejections will only conditionally display if you have anything to approve or you have anything that's been rejected. But you now have the ability to specify whether someone can actually see these and which one loads by default. So very similar to how a lot of our other tabbed pages work. So if I go to the role record, and then I'll just go into edit. So where we've got all of the display setting features, you'll see now that we've got the timesheet settings. So there's a timesheet default tab. You can specify which tab loads by default. So if you find that you're always using the calendar converter, you might want to load that by default. If you have a business rule that you don't want people using the calendar converter, you can turn that off. So you can ultimately control whether each person has access to each of those tabs, and that's all managed on their individual role record now. The other thing on the calendar converter, previously you were only ever looking at the calendar converter in context of your role. You now have the ability to toggle that, so I could go and look at the calendar converter for another user the way I can on the timesheet if I've got one of the appropriate managed timesheets or managed subordinate timesheets on my role record set to true. A couple of other things on the timesheet previously. So you can obviously hide a lot of this information, and so all of these sort of features you've got settings to choose whether they're displayed or not. Now, let's say previously, I've chosen to actually hide all of this information. So my chatter, my issue manager, my checklist items, the action complete, and the hours. This would have all just been white space that's sat here and didn't necessarily free up any space over here. So now this is a bit more dynamic. So if I'm hiding any of the information from this section, the whole page moves over, ultimately leveraging that white space for the hours entry fields. The other thing is I'm just going to jump over to another example of the timesheet. So we've added in the ability to add in up to 6 additional custom fields. So by default, you are always able to add one additional custom field, which would display underneath the action name. So this is a custom field that I've specified. However, you can now display up to 6 more. So you can see here, and I'll show you in the settings in a moment, but I'm displaying some project fields, some milestone fields, and some action fields. So ultimately, field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4, field 5, field 6 will display. Now, fields 1 and 2 don't have to be from the project. You could choose to display 6 fields from the action or 6 fields from the project. So you have the ability to control all of that. Sorry, just get past it. So you'll see here, so that's my standard additional field that was already there. These are the 6 additional fields. So as I say, for every single field, you can choose whether it's coming from the action, the milestone, or the project. So I've got 2 project, 2 milestone, 2 action, and they're being displayed on the timesheet there. And then, so we have introduced another setting to hide the non-billable row. So previously, there was a setting to hide the non-billable row if the hours scheduled non-billable was 0, or you could hide the non-billable if the non-billable indicator was false. But you can also now choose to hide the non-billable row. So this is the new setting here. So ultimately, to save you having to go through and enter a value into that field in order for it to hide, if you've ultimately marked the action as non-billable, it will hide. So regardless of that setting, if I turn this one on, providing my non-billable indicator field is true, then that will hide for me. So again, in addition to the refactor of the scheduler for improved performance, a couple of minor feature requests that customers have made is the ability to edit a holiday. So previously, you could obviously just display the holiday, but if you do now have a holiday displaying, if you double click into the cell that has a holiday, it will actually open up the holiday record. Just to go over that again, if ultimately I'm not clicking on the action that's scheduled over that holiday, but I'm clicking on the specific cell. So if I double click on that, that will open up the holiday record, allowing me to make changes if I need to and save them. If I double click onto a cell that doesn't have a holiday, as normal, that's going to give me the option to choose whether I'm creating an action or a holiday. Ultimately, we had customers that are wanting to be able to modify those holiday records directly from the scheduler without having to go off elsewhere. So now they'll be able to do that. The other feature is some customers aren't wanting to display job titles here. They only want to display the name. So we've introduced a new setting there. So the display job title, if that is true, which will be true by default, but if you turn that off, I'll just refresh. I'll just save that. So you'll see now, obviously the person's name is appearing, but not the job title. So for those of you using the auto generation from either the opportunity or the project request, you'll obviously be aware that we have the auto generation field mapping function that allows you to like map fields from that, the opportunity or from the project request through to fields on the project. So previously this was like one setting for all auto generation, regardless of whether you're using record types. What we've added in now is the ability for you to configure rules to specific record types. So obviously you've still got your standard field mapping rules that you can apply to the opportunity or the project request. But where you have record types configured for the object, either the opportunity or the project, you will see a configure button here. So this ultimately tells me I can't see the button for the project requests, so I don't have record types configured on that object, but I do for the opportunity. So I can still configure standard rules, but if I do want to go in and change those field mappings for individual record types, I can do that here. So you'll see here I've got two separate record types on my opportunity, one for product, one for service. So I can configure rules for each one of those individual records as well if I need to. So then they will take priority over the standard rules that we might have already configured. So we've also made a minor enhancement to the client read-only page to allow you to optionally include phases as well. So you'll see here on my project work breakdown structure, I've got phases on my project. Now, previously those phases weren't available for display on the read-only page. You'll see now that they are, so you can choose to include those. So obviously it will work like any other field. It will display by default, but you have the ability to exclude them individually if required. So you'll see here that you've got the ability to on the phase record, you can exclude that. Now that won't filter down to the milestones. If you want the milestones to be excluded, you would do that at the individual milestone level. The key thing to note for this is in order for these phases to appear on the read-only page, you will need to configure a sharing rule on the phase object. So I'll just jump over there to show you. So I'm on the phase object. Obviously, default external access would be private. I'm creating a sharing rule. So first of all, obviously, create that sharing rule, give it a name. Step one would be using the field, so it's field-based criteria where exclude from client page equals false. We're sharing it with the read-only site guest user that you've configured, and then you're giving read-only access. Again, all of these instructions are in the release notes, and like any other object that's displayed here, if you want to add custom fields into this section, there's a field set on the phase object that will allow you to do that. Okay, so that's obviously all of the key features. Hope you see some value in those. And obviously, in addition to the things that we've just gone over in more detail, there's also those minor enhancements that we discussed at the start as well. So when is this new version available? So it's obviously available from the App Exchange as of the 9th of January. So you can go and manually upgrade if required. We will be automatically upgrading all sandboxes on the 24th of January, and we'll be automatically upgrading all production orgs on the 7th of February. So with that said, I'd like to thank you for your time. As always, we greatly appreciate any feedback that you have. Always interested in hearing how we can make Mission Control bigger and better for you. Again, thank you for your time. Have a great day.